Since the conflict between Israel and Hamas erupted following the attack by Hamas on October the 7th, 2023, at least 60,000 people have been killed, over 145,000 injured, with the actual figures believed to be even higher. The continuous retaliations between the two sides have once again plunged a small piece of land in the Middle East into devastating violence. The immediate causes are clear, but the root issues are fundamental. In today's video, we will explore deep-seated reasons behind the prolonged conflict between Israel and Palestine. Why has this conflict persisted for decades? Is there still a path to escape this tragedy? Join us as we dive into a comprehensive analysis to better understand one of the world's most complex flashpoints today.
The Al-Aqsa lies at the heart of Jerusalem's Old City on a hill known to Jews as Har Habayit, or Temple Mount, and to Muslims internationally as al-Haram al-Sharif, or the Noble Sanctuary. Muslims regard the site as the third holiest in Islam after Mecca and Medina. Al-Aqsa is the name given to the whole compound and is home to two Muslim holy places, the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque, also known as the Qibli Mosque, which was built in the 8th century AD. The compound overlooks the Western Wall, a sacred place of prayer for Jews, for whom the Temple Mount is their most sacred site. Jews believe biblical King Solomon built the first temple there 3,000 years ago. A second temple was raised by the Romans in AD 70. Israel captured the site in the 1967 Middle East War, annexed it with the rest of East Jerusalem and adjoining parts of the West Bank in a move not recognized internationally. Jordan, whose ruling Hashemite family has custodianship of Muslim and Christian sites, appoints members of the Waqf institution, which oversees the site. The Al-Aqsa compound has long been a flashpoint for deadly violence over matters of sovereignty and religion in Jerusalem. Under the long-standing status quo arrangement governing the area, which Israel says it maintains, non-Muslims can visit, but only Muslims are allowed to worship in the mosque compound. Jewish visitors have increasingly prayed more or less openly at the site in defiance of the rules, and Israeli restrictions on Muslim worshippers' access to the site have led to protests and outbreaks of violence. Clashes at the site in 2021 contributed to setting off a 10-day war with Gaza. In 2000, the Israeli politician Ariel Sharon, then opposition leader, led a group of Israeli lawmakers onto the Temple Mount al-Haram al-Sharif complex. Palestinians protested, and there were violent clashes that quickly escalated into the Second Palestinian Uprising, also known as the Al-Aqsa Intifada.
So Al-Aqsa, as it's known in Arabic for Muslims, or Temple Mount as it's known in English, and that's a term used by Jews and Christians, is located in Jerusalem. It's on the edge, the eastern side of the old city of Jerusalem, and it's a large rectangular plaza, flat plaza, that on which located key Muslim sites, the Dome of the Rock, the Qibli Mosque, and other sites. And within the Dome of the Rock, of course, there's the huge rock, which is sacred for Muslims as well as Jews. It's quite interesting. It's a very lively and, on the one hand, extremely charged, extremely beautiful, this quite amazing monument. At the same time, it's a place where just because the old city is so condensed and packed and built, and this is a very spacious plaza. This is where also kids come and play and even kick ball during the week, and that's seen as completely fine. So it has both this kind of urban paradise within the city and also this religious significance. Now, for Muslims, it's sacred because this is where Prophet Muhammad's night journey to the sky is said to have begun. This is where he went from the rock to the skies. As I said, this is the third holiest shrine in Islam after Mecca and Medina. It's a very important Muslim site, and it's been like this for many centuries. For Jews, it's sacred because this is where the binding of Isaac is said to have taken place. That's where Abraham binds Isaac and prepares to sacrifice him, and then God intervenes and sends a lamb that Abraham sacrifices it instead. On the basis of that, the Jewish temple, or the Judaic temple, was built first by Solomon, which we assume was in that place, and later on the Roman temple, and we can see some remnants of the Roman Herodian temple there. So this was the temple for Jews. This was the house of God, and this is the mount of the house in Hebrew. So that's the and that temple, of course, was destroyed in 70 AD by the Romans, and that kind of marked the transformation of Judaism from a sacrifice-based religion to a prayer-based religion. And of course, the temple and the site of the temple has a lot of significance. But because this is a destroyed temple, and because for Jews, it's not for human beings to simply re-erect the temple. This has to be part of a divine intervention. It's associated with the coming of the Messiah and so forth. So this was seen as a symbol that is very important, but not something that Jews or Zionists have to take literal control of.
On August 3rd, Israel's far-right National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, visited the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound and claimed to have prayed there, challenging the established regulations at one of the region's most sensitive sites. A video released by a small organization called the Temple Mount Administration showed Ben-Gvir leading a group walking within the compound. Other videos circulating on social media appear to show him praying, though Reuters has not been able to independently verify these images. Under the decades-old status quo agreement between Israel and Muslim authorities, the Al-Aqsa compound is administered by a Jordanian religious organization, the Waqf. Jews are permitted to visit but are prohibited from praying there.
Hamas horror videos came due to one thing: their attempt to create pressure on the state of Israel. And I say, from here of all places, from Temple Mount, the place where we proved that sovereignty and governance can be done, from here of all place we should send a message and make sure that today itself we conquer the whole of Gaza Strip, announce sovereignty of the whole of Gaza Strip, take down every Hamas man, and encourage voluntary immigration. Only this way will we return the hostages and win the war.
What happened on Sunday, August 3rd, are dangerous violations against the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and that shows the ambitions of the extreme Jews about Al-Aqsa.
It wasn't enough for Minister Ben-Gvir to visit Al-Aqsa, but he did pray there. Also, he keeps supporting the daily raids in Al-Aqsa, and he supports the unprecedented violations.
Initially, the status quo, or the accepted norms in the site, ever since 1967, was that everybody's allowed to visit the place, but it's only a Muslim site of prayer. And this was not just the position of the Palestinians and the Muslim Waqf, which administers the site, and Muslim countries and so forth, but also the position of the Israeli government, that they didn't mind people, non-Muslims, visiting it, but other people could not pray. And the idea is that this is a Muslim site of prayer, and therefore, in the same way that I don't think if Muslims suddenly started to establish a small mosque in the middle of the Vatican, or Jews, that I think that wouldn't be seen favorably. So Prime Minister Netanyahu used to to be totally against that transformation of Al-Aqsa also into a Jewish site of prayer. But because the government has been moving more and more to the right and more in the direction of extreme right and placating these religious extremists, he is now allowing it, and we've seen members of the cabinet performing Jewish prayers on the site and kind of proclaiming the Jewish rights in their view over this location. This was one of the sites that has such a resonance in Palestinian society that anyone threatening Al-Aqsa was a cause to mobilize the Palestinian masses. And a lot of the violent uprising that we've seen over the last 100 years, many of them actually happened in relation to Al-Aqsa. We can talk about 1929 disturbances or riots, and also the 2000 Intifada, which break out after, the last time was after the visit of then opposition leader Ariel Sharon, and this was the kind of starting point of the Al-Aqsa Intifada.
Following Ben-Gvir's visit, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu issued a statement reaffirming that the current policy of maintaining the status quo at the Al-Aqsa compound has not changed and will not change. The visit coincided with Tisha B'Av, a Jewish fasting day commemorating the destruction of two ancient temples that once stood at the site centuries ago. The Jordanian Waqf, which manages the holy site on the hillside in Jerusalem's Old City, reported that Ben-Gvir was among 1,250 people who visited the Al-Aqsa compound that day, where they prayed, chanted slogans, and danced. Jordan's government and foreign ministry strongly condemned Ben-Gvir's visit, calling it a provocative act. In the past, proposals to alter the status quo at Al-Aqsa have sparked outrage in the Muslim world and triggered violence. However, no reports of violence emerged from the events of August 3rd.
Thank you for watching. If you found this content helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with our in-depth analysis.